What if I told you that every choice you made today, what you watched, what you bought, even who you like, wasn't entirely your own? You probably believe you're making conscious, rational decisions, but in reality, much of what feels like free will is being guided by invisible psychological forces. From the moment you wake up and check your phone to the time you fall asleep scrolling through social media, your mind is constantly being nudged in directions you don't even notice. Think about it. You skip an ad on YouTube, but somehow that product's name stays in your head. Later, when you see it on a store shelf, it feels familiar, safe, so you buy it. Or that influencer you follow who seems so genuine and relatable, they're carefully crafting their image to trigger trust, making it easier to sell you an idea or a product. Even politicians do it, using emotionally charged words and selective framing to make you agree with them without realizing why. None of this is random, it's psychology, deliberate and scientific. These small, consistent manipulations bypass your logical mind and tap straight into your subconscious. And that's what makes them so powerful. Today, we're going to uncover exactly how people control you, without you even realizing it. Most people don't realize how predictable the human mind really is. For decades, psychologists have documented patterns that govern how we think, feel, and act. Patterns so reliable that entire industries are built on them. This is called the psychology of influence. At its core, it's the science of shaping human behavior by pulling on hidden levers in the brain. Researchers like Dr. Robert Cialdini have identified key principles of persuasion, such as reciprocity, social proof, authority, and scarcity. These principles don't just influence you consciously. They work automatically, beneath your awareness, steering your choices before you even know a decision is being made. Take reciprocity, for example. When someone gives you something, even something as small as a free sample or a free trial, your brain feels a subtle obligation to give back. This is why you're more likely to buy a product after tasting a free piece at the grocery store. Or consider social proof. When you see hundreds of positive reviews or millions of likes, your brain concludes if everyone else approves, it must be good. That effect is so strong that many companies pay for fake reviews or fake followers because even counterfeit popularity still sways real behavior. These tactics bypass rational thought. They plug directly into the instincts that evolved to keep humans safe and social thousands of years ago. And this is just the beginning. These principles of influence are everywhere, in ads, apps, relationships, and even politics. They're so ingrained into our daily environment that most of the time, we don't even know we're responding to them. But once you see them clearly, you can never unsee them. Let's look deeper at the hidden triggers that quietly shape your thoughts and actions every day. These psychological buttons are simple, but incredibly powerful. And once you recognize them, you'll start to see them everywhere. One of the strongest is reciprocity. Humans are wired to return favors because it helped our ancestors survive in groups. But in modern life, this instinct is used against you. When a company gives you a free trial, a discount, or even a friendly smile, your brain registers a sense of debt. You feel an unconscious pressure to give back, often by buying something or agreeing to a request. This is why salespeople hand out free samples or why influencers give value first. They're not just being nice, they're activating your built-in need to reciprocate. Another major trigger is social proof. Your mind automatically assumes that if other people approve of something, it must be right or safe. Psychologists have shown that people are more likely to enter a restaurant if they see a line outside, even if they have no idea why everyone's waiting. Online, this effect is amplified. Fake likes, fake reviews, and inflated follower counts trick your brain into thinking, everyone's doing it, so you should too. The scary part? Even when you know it's fake, the bias still influences you on a subconscious level. Then there's authority, the reason we trust people in uniforms, titles, or with confident body language. In the famous Milgram experiment, ordinary people were willing to deliver painful electric shocks to others simply because a man in a lab coat told them to. That's how strong the authority effect is. Today, it's used by experts, influencers, and brands that wrap themselves in credibility symbols, certifications, fancy logos, and professional tones to gain your trust instantly. Finally, the scarcity principle. When something feels limited, your brain perceives it as more valuable. That only two left in stock label or offer expires in 3 hours countdown timer isn't just marketing fluff. It's psychological manipulation. It triggers your survival instinct, the fear of missing out. You rush to act before your rational mind has time to question whether you even need the thing. Each of these triggers sounds harmless alone, but when combined, they form a web of invisible influence that can quietly control your emotions, your spending, and even your beliefs. These psychological principles aren't just academic theories. They're woven into the world around you, shaping how you think and behave every single day. Once you recognize them, you'll see that nearly every system that seeks your attention, your loyalty, or your money relies on the same mental shortcuts. In marketing, the use of influence is both strategic and relentless. Take Apple, for example. They've mastered the scarcity principle by limiting supply during product launches. People line up overnight not because they desperately need the newest iPhone, but because their brain interprets limited availability as higher value. Likewise, luxury brands like Rolex or Louis Vuitton rarely go on sale. They don't sell watches or handbags, they sell status. That's social proof and authority in action. The message isn't, this product is good, it's people who matter wear this. The result is psychological. Owning the item makes you feel important. Politics uses influence in a more subtle, but even more powerful way. Politicians carefully choose words that frame issues to steer public emotion. For example, saying enhanced interrogation instead of torture or security measures, instead of surveillance, changes how people perceive reality. This is known as framing, a psychological tool that shapes judgment without changing facts. Studies show that voters respond more to emotional appeals, fear, pride, anger, than to logic or data. That's why speeches are filled with stories and symbols, not statistics. The goal isn't to inform you, it's to make you feel something that aligns with their agenda. But influence isn't limited to big institutions. It happens in personal relationships too. Some people use emotional manipulation to control others, often without the victim realizing it. This includes tactics like gaslighting, making someone doubt their own reality, guilt tripping, after everything I've done for you, and love bombing, showering someone with affection to gain control. Psychologists have documented how these behaviors exploit your need for belonging and approval. Over time, they can make you dependent on the manipulator's validation, even when it's toxic. The truth is, influence is everywhere. In the ads you see, the content you consume, the people you trust. Most of it operates below your awareness, quietly shaping your identity and choices. The more you understand it, the harder it becomes for anyone to use it against you. The first step to protecting yourself from manipulation is simply awareness. Most influence tactics work because they bypass your conscious thinking and target your automatic responses. When you learn to pause and recognize a tactic as it's happening, you break the spell. For example, if a salesperson offers you something for free, immediately name it in your head. This is reciprocity. That act of labeling engages your rational brain and weakens the effect. The second step is to slow down your decisions. Manipulators want you to act quickly, before your logic can catch up. This is why you see countdown timers on sales pages or hear phrases like, "This offer is only good today." Resist the rush. Give yourself time to step back, breathe, and think. Even a few minutes of delay can turn an emotional reaction into a rational decision. Third, develop mental boundaries. Know your values, your priorities, and your limits so you're harder to sway. For instance, if you've decided to stick to a budget or avoid certain products, remind yourself of that before you enter situations where influence is likely. Similarly, in relationships, set clear standards for what you will and won't tolerate. People who respect you will honor those boundaries. Manipulators will try to push past them, revealing themselves in the process. Finally, practice critical thinking and emotional regulation. Question claims, look for evidence, and avoid making big choices when you're tired, stressed, or angry. Those states make you more vulnerable to persuasion. By keeping a calm, analytical mindset, you take away most of the power manipulators rely on. The goal isn't to become cynical or paranoid, it's to be conscious. Influence is a part of everyday life, and not all of it is bad. But when you understand the psychology behind it, you're no longer an easy target. You're an informed, deliberate thinker. The truth is, influence isn't evil. It's simply a tool. The same psychology that allows someone to manipulate can also be used to inspire, lead, and create positive change. The difference lies in intent. When people use influence to deceive, they strip away your ability to choose freely. But when you understand these principles yourself, you take that power back. You become aware of the invisible strings others pull, and you can decide when to follow and when to cut them.